Third grade, week 10, weathering of rocks to form soil and breaking down of organic matter to form soil. Teachers, what I have is a really simple activity to show kids how rocks weather and break down and form our soil. What I have is some calcite rocks that are actually very soft. They're not found here in East Texas. This is a rock that I bought at the landscaping store, the white rocks you'll see in the garden. And they're very, very soft. Make sure the kids rub them and they'll realize that the white powder comes off on their hands, which means it's a soft rock. This works really good to show weathering. And then I also included some chalk because for third graders, them rubbing that chalk and seeing that that's coming off in their hands, maybe they'll understand that rocks have different consistencies of hardness. And a lot of the rocks are soft and they just rub off when they wash over through creeks and streams and tumbling. They'll become worn down and eventually it'll break down into the soil and put minerals into the soil that we use. So this is an activity that we used to do in 8th grade. Since the TEKS changed, I no longer do it. But Mr. Harrison loaned me his shaking bottles. These are real tough plastic because this won't work if you just have a cheap plastic bottle. The rocks will break the bottle open. So what I've done is I've taken some rocks and I put them inside this container and I shook them. Now it takes a long time to shake these rocks to see any weathering. So instead of me shaking it on camera, you just understand that you put the lid on real tight, let the kids shake, and I would say shake 5 minutes. Let them go around the table. There's only one bottle per table. Let each person have a turn shaking. It doesn't have to go on forever and ever, and I know it'll be loud. But these are the rocks before the shaking, and even the short amount of shaking that I did, this is the rocks afterwards. And the kids can even feel the sharpness of the stones is already rounded just from the short amount of shaking. Now, one thing I did to speed up the reaction, because all these rocks are made of limestone and they happen to be a base, then I add a little bit of vinegar to this bottle, because in acid rain, it is actually an acid attaching to a water droplet that makes acid rain. So when that acid rain sits down on these rocks that are just resting on the earth, it starts to break them down. It starts to dissolve them. So you can speed up the reaction of the erosion by putting a little bit of vinegar in the bottle and shaking it. So this is a really good weathering experiment for third graders. The other part of your TEKS says that you have to know that also organic matter, or what they call living material, breaks down into the soil. So they don't call it organic matter, but I put a soil profile bottle here that we made in 1st grade so that they could see that top layer of organic matter. We'll have some of these bottles sitting in the room for them to look at. If they shake it, and you know, it's just going to take a few minutes for it to settle back out, and the organic matter is going to rise to the top. When I say organic matter, that's everything that was once living has now broken down into that layer on top, and it's always going to be your darkest layer. So you can point out to your kids that that's the dead and decaying matter that's resting on the surface of the earth, that's breaking down, decomposing, and going back into the soil to enrich it. So I hope you enjoy.